What's up, everybody? Jason with HOJ Forge. Today we're going to continue with the feather pattern Damascus. Alrighty, my friends, today we're going to continue with this feather pattern billet. It's about ½ an inch thick, maybe, and about 1.5 inches wide, and that's not going to get me anywhere close to the length of knife I wanted. So, I've been doing some thinking, and I'm going to try a couple of things. One, I'm going to do a bone bolster. I've got some bone left from a handle I was going to make out of it, but it's not. It'll work for a bolster. I don't think it's going to the right shape for a whole handle, but I haven't done a whole lot of bolsters. I don't think I've ever filmed one because I'm not very good at them. So this will be a good experiment. And then I'm also going to do a little bit of a different technique where I'm not going to draw the tang out from this steel. I'm going to get right past to, down into the handle a little bit, but then I'm going to just tack weld on some mild steel and use that for the rest of the tang for the knife, because it's going to be a kitchen knife is what I'm envisioning. And so I'm not real worried about, you're not going to be chopping trees down with it. So as long as I weld it well, get a good weld, it should be just fine strength wise. So while the forge is heating up, I'll show you guys real quick. I cut the handle off that side and re-welded it on that side because I got to thinking, and I decided I had reasoned it out wrong in the last video. The other thing I did was ground down everything that could possibly come and turn into a cold shut on the end there. That's all. It's a little curvy, but it's nice and smooth now. Let me grab the whiteboard and I'll show you why I was thinking this. So I decided I had it wrong because we had the billet like that. There's the center line, and everything's coming down that way, alright? And originally I thought, well, it's going to make an arrow and point out that way, so that's going to be the front of the knife, and I'll weld the handle on here, and this side will turn the tang. Then I got to thinking about a feather. Sorry for my bad picture of a feather, but the feather actually runs down that way. And so if I want it to be true to the way the feather is running, I've got to make this, I've got to curve this down to make the point of the knife like that. So I want to make, that's a really lousy, that is a really lousy picture of a knife. But, alright, so I want to make the chef's knife there. Originally I wanted to do integrated bolsters or integral bolsters, meaning that the steel from the knife itself is what made the bolsters. I don't have enough for that. So, I'm going to do some bone bolsters up here, do something else, wood for the handle, and rather than trying to stretch out a whole bunch of metal for the tang, I'll probably only stretch it out to there, and then all of this will be mild steel that I'll just weld, make sure I have a good weld from there back. So the rest of this will be the feather pattern Damascus, coming up that way. Bone bolsters, probably do 2 pins or maybe offset them. I don't know, we'll have to figure that out, and then do like maybe a curly maple or something for the handle. So I'm just going to try to make sure I don't work this billet too cold, and I'm going to stretch it out into as long a bar as I think I can do. It's going to be a kitchen knife, so I don't have to keep it super thick, but I need enough on there to be able to grind it and correct any mistakes that might be there. So I'm just I'm gonna stretch it out as far as I can, and we'll see. We'll figure out what shape to make it, what kind of kitchen knife from there. But I'm just gonna speed through some of this drawing out because I don't know, it's boring, right? So at this point, I'm starting to take it in sections. Just kind of working on the front third right now. Trying to get it down to the shape, roughly the shape and roughly the thickness I want. So I'm working on this part, and then I'll work on the middle, and then I'll start working on the tang area. This will at least give me an idea how long I can make it, if we're going to be close to the shape that's in my head and all that fun stuff. So if you use a coal forge like me, you got to be real careful not to overheat that tip once you get it down. So you can see I've got the fire built up and the coals pulled over the section of the blade that I want to work next. And the tip is right here and it's sticking out of the coals. It'll get orange hot, but it's not going to burn. There's no way for enough heat to build up in there from this fire. So back here, absolutely it can burn. Alright, so let's see where we are lengthwise. Originally I was hoping to get about a 9-inch blade with the integrated bolster. Didn't happen. Right to there is about 6 inches. I'd really like to get it to 7 inches. I don't know if I can, because right about here is where I have to start drawing out for the little bit of tang that I'm going to have. I don't want to get too much thinner. And it's about 1.5 inches, just, yeah, right about 1.5 inches wide right there. So I don't want to go too much thinner than that. So let me see if I can draw it out just a hair more. We are just a tad thick. We're close to 1/4 of an inch there. So if I take that down to closer to 3/16 back in this area, maybe I can get a little more length out of it. But actually the first thing I'm going to do is draw down that little nub of a tang that I'm going to need. Just so I don't overdo, take too much steel for the blade. So I'm going to do that, and then that'll tell me how long I can make the blade. Okay, so here on the tang I can see a couple of little cracks, but I think that's from where I had the handle and then cut it off and then welded it back on and then cut it off. I think if I just put a bead of weld right down, there's one on the top there, one down there, and then a little one right there. And I think if I just put a bead of weld on there, it should be okay. We'll test it, maybe. Like I say, it's a kitchen knife, so I'm not too worried about it. So I'll worry about that later. And then I'm going to draw down this thickness just a hair more and see if I can get some more length out of this. After refining a little bit, I'm just a hair under 7 inches. You know, I could 6.5 right to there, where that little drop off starts. So I'm a little worried about how wide the blade is. When you use a kitchen knife, you want to be able to rock it on your cutting board without having to worry about hitting your fingers. And I don't think this blade is wide enough. So, you know, as someone's rocking it, they're going to hit their fingers. So I think I've got to get this handle to curve up a little bit. Let me draw you a diagram on what I'm thinking. Okay, so if this was the cutting board, and you want the knife coming down so you can rock it, and then the handle starts and booda 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 boom. Bad knife. But you don't want your fingers getting pinched in there, and I don't think my blade is wide enough that way. So what I'm thinking is, what I'm going to have to do is bring the blade, the handle up like that a little bit. So I've got to get that tang to start curving like that, and I think I'm going to do that over the horn. I think that'll work. Alright, so it works. I've got it, you know, popping up over a little bit, but it also opened up that crack right there. So before I do the final grind to shape, I'm going to put a bead of weld right in those cracks and see if it works. If it doesn't, then I'll just nip off the whole thing that I have there and just weld on. You know, the bolsters are going to come down well past that crack, you know, a good ½ inch. So if I just nip it off at that crack and have to weld something on from there, it'll work. I don't want to, but yeah, I think welding it, just putting a good bead on there, will work. But we'll try that as I'm grinding it to its final shape, and I think it's going to be pretty cool. And then this mild steel, it's a 1/4 inch by 1 inch, and this is what I'm going to make the rest of the handle from. So there we go. So I'm just going to cut the rebar off. Oh, look at that! I barely even have to. Ha! All right, so you know what? All I'm going to do is clean that up then with the grinder, so that I can weld the other handle onto it. That's about as ugly of a weld as I've ever done, but figures on the knife that I want to sell for a lot of money to do it. But I think it'll work once it's all ground down. Should work fine. Hoping, you know, I'm hoping I got enough in there. I may have to grind a little more out of there, but yeah, let me get it sort of close to its finishing parameters, and then maybe we'll throw another test etch on it and I'll call this video done.
here's the handle ground to shape, and you know, it is what it is for a kitchen knife, I think. It's plenty strong. And I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of the profiling on here and grind the bevels in, and we'll call this done for the day.
So here it is. I don't have the bevels ground in it yet, but I've got the handle done. Oh look, blood! Caught myself, bit myself with the grinder. So now I'm wondering how I want to grind the bevels in, because I want the bolsters to come down far enough. Let me grab a marker here. So I don't want to drill there. Okay, that's just too thin. So if I do the handle like up to there, and then I can do the pins for the handle where it's a little bit thicker, and then I'll do the bolsters like out to there, and maybe we'll just do two thin ones right there and right there. So this one will be pushing it a little bit, but I still think it'll be alright. So that leads to the bevels. Do I want the bevels to go straight up and down and, you know, be just short of the bolster, or do I want them to go out like, you know, like that? I don't know that I've ever seen a knife with the plunge lines going out at an angle like that. But that would actually let me lengthen the bolster a little bit, and maybe I could do the bolster back to there. One pin there, one pin there. That would get me out of this zone that I don't want to be in. I'd have to move that one up a little bit. So yeah, maybe we'll do the plunge lines up to there.
I'm no expert on kitchen knives, but I believe the bevels are supposed to go all the way up. So you can see the plunge line comes up at that angle, and then like right there is the only flat part. The rest is ground into the bevel. So nice and light, nice and thin. I'm going to take it to 120 now, and then maybe we'll throw a test etch on it.
All right, the grind is done. I took it to 120. Took the bevels all the way. You know, there's just the slightest, I don't know, can you see that? Just the slightest little nip where the bevel didn't come out. Other than that, I think we're ready. I've got the bone for the bolsters, and I'm thinking now I might go with walnut just because the handle's so thin. I don't want to waste the curly maple. You're not going to see a whole lot of that grain on such a a narrow handle. So I might just go with walnut on it, or something else. I don't know. I'll see what I have lying around. But I'm going to go throw it in the test etch for you guys, and we'll get a quick glimpse to see how it's coming out. It's not going to be the final. What do I want to say? The final contrast, because once you harden it, then the darks get darker and the lights get lighter. So, but we'll at least be able to see the pattern a little bit. So there it is, literally about 30 seconds in the etch. And I think it's going to come out really cool. The only thing I'm not happy with is that center. I should have etched it before I started grinding in the tip because it's about 3/8 of an inch too low. That should terminate right at the point of the knife, but I don't think it'll matter. Well, I mean, it will matter. Someone's going to complain, I'm sure. In fact, I'll probably get nasty comments once this is on the regular YouTubes, but all in all, I think it came out pretty cool for my first try ever at a feather pattern. It's all solid. There's not one bad weld, and it definitely, has the feather shape to it. So pretty dang cool. So I'm going to wrap this up here. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, all my patrons. Can't thank you enough. That's why I'm doing these extra videos with all this extra stuff for you guys, and we'll keep it going. So thank y'all, and I'll talk to you next time.